I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about the story of Purim and why it's so remarkable. Now, personally, I have a very special attachment to the holiday of Purim because I was actually born during the Purim meal. That means actually it's Shushan Purim, the day after Purim, because I was born after sundown. But let's get back to the actual story of Purim and why it's so very special. In fact, I might even say that it's the most special holiday of all the holidays, perhaps even greater than Yom Kippur and Sukkot and Paysach. I'll tell you why. Our sages teach us that once Mashiach comes, the glory and specialness of all the holidays is going to diminish, because relative to the incredible miracles and the new state of relationship that will exist between us and Hashem, the other holidays are just going to diminish. It won't have that same glory, with one exception. And that exception is the story of Purim. Purim will remain with all its glory. So why? What's so special about Purim? In fact, the story of Purim doesn't have any real overt miracles. And all the other stories, all the other holidays do. Even the story of Hanukkah has a miracle of the candles lighting for 8 days. But what's so special about Purim? Now, to appreciate that, we have to study the story of Purim. I'm going to do it right now in the next few minutes. But I want you to pay attention to the order of how the story happened. And once we understand the order, we will discover something absolutely remarkable. And that remarkableness is what makes Purim so special that it can never change. It will only gain in its brilliance. Okay, here we go. The story of Purim begins, step 1. The king Achashverosh discovers, according to his mistaken calculations, that the Jews should have gone back to the land of Israel according to the prophets after 70 years of exile, and the 70 years were up and they didn't go back. Which means, in Achashverosh, the king's mind, that it must be God forsake the Jewish people and he's not taking them back. Well, let's celebrate. Because not only does he have the Jews, he also has the land of Israel, and even more than that, he has the holy artifacts, the vessels and the menorah and the special table and the altar from the Beis HaMikdash that no one was able to dare use for themselves, because that belonged to the God of Israel. But now, apparently God forsake them. So let's make a banquet. So he says, we're going to make a big banquet. And of course we're going to invite the Jews, because now they're mine. In fact, at the dinner, at the banquet, he serves in the vessels, the very vessels that the high priests and the others used to serve in the temple for the exclusive service of Hashem. He went ahead and offered that to the Jews to drink because of his victory and his conquest over God's people. Now you can well imagine that the leader of the Jewish people, Mordechai, was not happy with this. He understood that this is a very terrible thing. How can we participate in such an event? It's as if we're signing off. It's as if we are agreeing that Achashverosh is in fact now our new king in place of Hashem, the God of Israel, the God of the maker of the world. And Mordechai instructed the people not to go, but the people said, no, it's politically incorrect. The pressures that be require us to go. In fact, Achashverosh made everything kosher. He even had separate seating for the men and women. And everyone was invited. And the people caved into the pressure and they went to the banquet. That was the gravest sin of that period. And because of that, Hashem decreed that they will have to suffer the consequences that will soon follow. That is step 1. Step 2. At that very banquet, the king got drunk and called Vashti, his queen, to come and show her beauty, and she refused. The king was furious and had her killed. That set the stage for Esther's soon to come stepping up into the place of the royal queen. That was step 2. Step 3. Mordechai, the uncle of Esther, discovered a plot of 2 officers that were going to kill the king. He reported it to Esther, and Esther reported it to the king, and Mordechai saved the king's life by that report, and it was entered into the diary of the king, which was later going to be used to save the Jews. Esther was chosen, and then actually Mordechai saved the king. And then after that was set, after the whole saving scene, the final scene of the Jewish people is already set, only then does the next step begin. And that is Haman rises to power. He speaks to the king Achashverosh, and he is the arch enemy. He's the president of all the anti-Semites of the world. And he approaches the king and says, we must kill the Jews. And the king says, go right ahead. And the Jews realize that their doom and fate is sealed. And they turn to Hashem, and they turn to Mordechai, and Mordechai says, we will cry and fast and pray to Hashem. Then Mordechai sends a message to Esther that she should go to the king. And the rest of the story unfolds, and the king listens to Esther, and in the end they hang Haman, and the Jews are given permission to defend themselves, and we're saved. That's the story of Purim. Now I'll tell you what's so special about that. Because all the other holidays commemorate, remember days and celebrate the victories and the accomplishments of the Jewish people when they were in good standing with Hashem. We were beloved by Hashem. Hashem took us out of the land of Israel. He gave us the Torah, the holiday of Paysach, the holiday of Shavuos. He brought us into the Mishkan, the holiday of Sukkot. We did Teshuvah, the holiday of Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah, He judges us. But listen what happened on Purim. We were bad. We failed Hashem. We rejected Hashem. We went to the banquet. Mordechai said, don't go. And we said, we're going to go. We have to go. What do you mean you have to go? Hashem has not forsaken us. But we went, we were scared. And because we were scared, Hashem said, that seals their fate. Hashem deals with us the way we deal with Him. And if the Jews have told Hashem that we're scared of Achashverosh and more than we're scared of you, more than we trust in you, then so be it, you will be Achashverosh and Haman's. But once the Jew, and that was the situation. Before Hashem brought the punishment upon the Jews by bringing Haman to power, He already set up the stage for their salvation. And only then, after everything was set to save them, then He scared them. He scared them terribly so, allowing Haman to rise to power and threaten the very existence of every single Jew. He would have outdone Hitler. He would have been 100% successful because Achashverosh, not like Hitler, had complete domain, complete reign over every civilized corner of the world where every Jew lived, and everyone would have been destroyed. And only then did Hashem scare the Jews, and then we did Tshuva, and then we were saved. You know what that demonstrates? That demonstrates that Hashem loves us so much. He didn't save us because we came running back. Please, please Hashem, save us. And then Hashem said, okay, I'll save you. No, He wanted to save us even before He sent the punishment. He only sent the punishment to get us to wake up. He wanted us to come running back. He wanted us to come saying, Papi, Tata, Dada, Papa, save us. And He said, of course I'm going to save you. I already set the scene to save you long before I scared you. I knew you were going to come back. And that's why it's so special. Because once Mashiach comes, we're going to have such a perfect relationship with Hashem. We will not know. Maybe our relationship with Hashem is so good because we never make mistakes. But we're going to have the holiday of Purim to show us that even when we made a mistake and we abandoned Hashem, Hashem still loved us. And that's why the story of Purim will remain forever. Even in the period when we will have that utopian relationship with Hashem, when we will never fail Hashem. Hashem's going to keep that holiday, we are going to keep that holiday and show the brilliance that there was once a time when we rejected Hashem, and Hashem did not reject us. He waited and waited for us to do Teshuvah, and then He saved us. Have a wonderful Purim, have a great Shabbos. Thanks.